All right, let's talk about something super frustrating. You're a high achiever, you're doing great work, especially if you're in product management, but the promotions, the job offers, they just aren't coming. So in this explainer, we're going to crack the code on how to turn all that hard work into the kind of business impact that actually gets you hired and promoted. Let's dive in.
This is the question that probably keeps a lot of us up at night. You're hitting your goals, you're a fantastic teammate, you deliver everything that's asked of you, so why do you feel so stuck? You just kind of assume that your contributions are obvious, right? That somebody, somewhere, is connecting the dots for you. But what if that's a really, really dangerous assumption?
And this is the part that hurts. It's not just about climbing the career ladder, it's about feeling seen, feeling valued. When you pour your heart and soul into your work and all you get back is silence, that crisis of confidence is so real. You start asking yourself, am I even good enough for this? The thing is, you probably are. You're just not speaking the right language.
So let's just tackle the core problem head on. A lot of us, maybe most of us, operate under the myth that just doing good work is enough. If you just keep your head down, execute flawlessly, the rewards are just going to magically appear. But the workplace, well, it doesn't always run on merit alone.
And this slide right here reveals a massive disconnect. Companies love to fill their job descriptions and performance reviews with all these nice-sounding words like teamwork and collaboration, and, because they say that, we talk about those things. But the leaders, the decision-makers, they're being judged on a completely different set of metrics. We're talking revenue, valuation, stock price, and, making them look good to their bosses.
And that brings us to the truth bomb from our source material. At the end of the day, what really truly gets attention and resources are the things that directly impact the bottom line or the personal success of your leadership. Look, it's not cynical, it's just the reality of how business works. Your work has to connect to these core drivers. So how in the world do you bridge that gap? Well, you learn to speak their language. The solution isn't about working harder, it's about reframing the amazing work you're already doing in a way that resonates with what your leadership actually cares about.
And the method for this is actually a pretty simple 3-step framework. First, you've got to connect the dots between your day-to-day tasks and a real, measurable result. Then you frame that result using the language of business. And finally, you take this new story and you apply it consistently on your resume, in interviews, in your performance reviews, everywhere.
So what exactly is business language? Well, it's the vocabulary of value. We're talking about concrete terms like revenue growth, ROI, and customer churn, but measured in actual dollars, not just percentages. These are the kinds of metrics they talk about in boardrooms and on earnings calls. When you start using these terms, you're showing you get how the business actually makes money.
Now, to put this language into action, you're going to need a structure. And the problem, solution, transformation framework, or PST, is incredibly powerful. It forces you to stop just listing your tasks and instead build a really compelling narrative. You start with the problem, you explain your solution, and you end with the amazing, transformative business result.
And as product leader Niels points out, everything, and I mean everything, hinges on the problem. Look, we needed a new dashboard is not a business problem, but we were losing customers because we had zero insight into their behavior. Now that is a problem. When you articulate a big, expensive business problem, you get instant engagement, and you give your work a ton of context and credibility. Okay, so let's put this into practice with a real-world example. We're going to look at the exact same project, but we're going to describe it in 2 totally different ways. First up, here's the version that most of us are used to writing and hearing. It's all about the process, the tasks, the immediate user feedback. It's the kind of thing you might put in a weekly status update. See? This describes what you did. You did some research, you wrote some requirements, you improved a metric. It's all factually correct, but honestly, it's kind of boring. A hiring manager or an executive hears this and they just think, okay, you did your job. Next. It completely fails to communicate the value of that work.
Okay, now let's reframe that exact same project using our PST framework and the language of business. Remember, we are not changing the work that was done, only the way we talk about it. It all starts by anchoring the story to what's really at stake. Not user happiness, but money. $500,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Now that gets people's attention. And this just brilliantly illustrates the difference. We start with a huge, expensive problem. $500,000 in lost revenue every single month. The solution is the same thing, onboarding improvements. But the transformation is massive. You didn't just make users happier. You save the company millions of dollars a year. Now, which story do you think an executive wants to hear?
This storytelling method is absolutely 100% critical on your resume, where you literally have seconds to grab a hiring manager's attention.
Just take a look at this real resume bullet point. It is full of technical jargon like 0 to 1 and OCR. It tells me what the person did, but I have absolutely no idea why it mattered. It's just gobbledygook to anyone who wasn't on that specific team.
Now look at the rewrite. This is a story. What was the problem? A slow, risky manual process. The solution? A new system. And the transformation? Huge improvements in accuracy, speed, and cost. I don't need to know what OCR is to understand that this person solved a major business problem and delivered incredible results.
And hey, this isn't just for your resume. This method is your new toolkit for your entire career. You use it to update your LinkedIn. You frame your interview answers this way. You prepare for your performance reviews around these impact stories. It's how you consistently show your value in every single professional conversation. Ultimately, this is what it all boils down to. All the flashy skills, the buzzwords, the different methodologies, they all change. Agile, AI, vibe coding, these trends come and go. But the ability to deliver and clearly articulate real business results, that is a timeless and universal skill. So the most crucial thing to take away from all this is simple. You're not invisible, and your work probably isn't undervalued. You just haven't been showing its impact in a language that decision makers actually understand. You have these amazing stories. You just need to learn how to tell them.
So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Think about the last project you finished. Don't think about the tasks you did or the meetings you had. Instead, ask yourself this. What was the big, expensive business problem we were really trying to solve? And what was the transformation? That's your story. Now go tell it.